Hey, what is going on, you guys? Admiral Tori here, and welcome aboard for another World of Warships video on my channel. In today's video, I am sailing the Tier 6 German Super Dreadnought, the Bayern. Now, the Bayern is by far from the German tech tree line one of my most favorite German battleship I have played so far, if not my most favorite. Now, of course, this ship is my highest tier ship, and I still have to try the Gneisenau, the Bismarck, the Friedrich der Grosse, and the Grosse Kaufus. There are plenty of time to get those ships, but unfortunately, once you pass tier 6 and tier 7, the grind gets pretty painful and you extremely slow down at like 5 miles per hour or some kilometers wherever you're from, but you get the idea. It's going to be a long grind once you get the Bayern and the Gneisenau, because I feel like you spend twice as much time in tier 8 than at tier 6 and 7 combined. It gets quite grindy, and of course the higher matchmaking makes it even worse. But before I can get into gameplay and talk about the Bayern, what makes her great, and the competition she faces like the Arizona, New Mexico, and of course the closest thing that you can even compare to Bayern from the same period of the time during the war that the Bayern fought was the Warspite, the HMS, the Grand Old Lady, the British greatest jewel of battleship, the most highest decorated is the Warspite, and the Warspite has many characteristics, especially the gun caliber, which is the biggest thing you want to compare with the Bayern and the Warspite is really their 15-inch or the 380 millimeter or 381 on the Warspite with the Bayern, because they come from a same period of time, and at the same time their design are very similar in many aspects. And you can just look at the Bayern, look at the Warspite, you can see the similarities. So this gameplay does last roughly 20 minutes, so I got plenty of time to talk about. In the beginning parts of the game is just me traveling from point A to point B, which does take a long time considering the fact that this gameplay I don't have the engine upgrade, nor does the Bayern even sail that fast compared to like the Dunkirk or the Fuso. I don't know if it sails faster than Fuso or not, but it's fairly a slow ship, and that's what you expect from the tier 6. It sails like the American ship. So before I can even talk about like all the great things about the Bayern, like I said, I have plenty of time to talk about other things, and I think it is a great time to actually get you guys attention, since this is my first German battleship video with the German tech tree line, and talk about a public announcement from my channel, and of course the upcoming World of Warships videos in terms of the German tech tree line and feature ship videos, because there's going to be a major change with this channel. In terms of major changes, this was expected from the beginning, because next week, the beginning of August, or not the beginning of August, the beginning of October, and the late parts of August, roughly August 28th, is school season in the United States. If you subscribe to me before May of 2015, you know what I'm talking about. I do a video once a week. This entire summer, I had a major blast because I have so much free time that I've been doing videos every day, trying to upload video every day with Doom, the Rise of the Tomb Raider, and of course trying to find time to do videos with World of Warships when I find a ship that I could do a video about. There's still plenty of ships in my docks that I have not done a video about, like the Otago, what else, the Atlanta. I haven't done a full video about the Atlanta, the Arizona, and all sorts of premium ships I have not decided to do a video on yet. At the same time, we got the German battleship line, and I got the Mogami, and a lot of ships basically. But yeah, school season is starting, and this upcoming semester is going to be my biggest semester that I had since a year ago. And the reason why is that I'm taking 4 classes with 1 lab, which is basically leaving me with 5 things to do at once. And this is probably gonna be worse than my last year semester, which is roughly around December to May, and of course before December, because at that time I had way less classes than this semester due to the fact that I was struggling with several classes. Now I had to put my A game on and put all my time into school. You guys know me, YouTube is not #1 for me. I'm not even making money from YouTube. I'm not making a living off of YouTube. I do YouTube just for fun or part of my living because I want something to go along with my life aside from just playing video games, and school is #1 in my life. So if you're curious of what I'm dealing with 4 classes, and these classes are not your traditional English math classes. These classes are like programming level. When I say programming, we're talking about spending a lot of time at home typing stuff up and trying to figure out things out. And then there's the math class I have, which is called linear algebra, which sounds easy because algebra goes for high school, but this is linear algebra. This is like college stuff that you do. This is like a side subject of math that you don't learn from high school. You learn a little bit about it, but not in full depth. So I got that, so I got a lot of reading to do. I do have a lab. Lab happens on Fridays, and that is the worst case scenario because labs does take up a lot of time. What else? There's a lot of classes. There's 4 classes, and the workload is crazy for me at this semester, even though this semester haven't started with the time I upload this video. But predictions wise, overall as a channel, we're looking at one video per week. That's at best, if not 2 if I'm lucky enough to find enough free time. At worst, 1 video a month. And like I said, I got 4 days of class from Monday to Thursday, and then Friday I do have the lab, and that leaves me with the weekend that I'm open. The problem with the weekend is that I'm going to use the weekend to study for future things about the class for next week, basically getting ready for next week. And I got to do lab stuff after Friday, because after you do a lab, you got to write up a report and prepare for the next lab. And then if there's ever a quiz or test, I got to study for those for next week. And then there's like that part where you have to get ready for the next unit to talk about for the class. I have to study and do homework at the same time. So you kind of get the idea that those 2 days that I have free time, which is Saturday and Sunday, is already been taken up. And that is going to be a problem because my Water Warships account, in terms of Water Warships, aside from my general stuff I do with Rise of the Tomb Raider and Doom, my Water Warships account is coming to an end on the premium aspects, meaning that I have to grind even more on my Water Warships account, spend more time to get a new ship. Which means that I have school, I have Water Warships. I won't be putting much time in the Water Warships, and my Water Warships expiring with the premium stuff, it's just making it twice as worse as it seems. So in terms of the German battleship line, as much as I really want to grind and get the hours, get the ships out, I am bogged down with the amount of times I could put on Water Warships with my school time. And then soon, in roughly around 20 days or 15 days, my premium account expires. You're probably asking, am I gonna buy another premium account? I plan on not buying another premium account to expand my subscription or extend it. And the reason why is that Water Warships is gotten to the point where I feel like I'm putting time to this game just for grinding rather than enjoying the ships I wanted to play. And in order to get the ships I wanted to play, is I have to grind for it. And that is a problem because I just don't have the power to unlock all the ships. The reason I play Water Warships is not to grind. I'm not a grind addict at all. It's just that I'm forced to in order to get what I want from this game. So it's rough, okay? It's really rough, and I could get all the German battleships right now, to be honest with you. And that's what the keyword money. Yes, I do have over 500,000 free XP to convert, but I don't have the money to do that, nor do I have the money for the premium account. So I'm left with tier 6 Bayern or tier 7 Gneisenau to talk about, and then after like 6 months I probably can get the tier 9 or tier 8, where I'd probably get lucky if I get tier 9 from the German battleship line, but mainly tier 8 by 6 months. So that would greatly puts this channel at a very slow speed. And like I said, we got school going on for me, and at the same time my premium account is gone. So in terms of Water Warships, I won't be making that much Water Warships video throughout the school year, and I won't be progressing down the German line anytime faster as far as I got the Bayern. In terms of my other videos like the Rise of the Tomb Raider, my Doom videos, I'm almost finished with Doom. It's pretty easy to make those videos compared to Water Warships, because Water Warships you gotta find a good gameplay, a good idea to talk about. Well, my Rise of the Tomb Raider, my Doom Let's Play, you just play the game, just record it and upload it to YouTube. So aside from that, let's put that aside, and in the future videos, if I want to add more details about my schedule and anything else about my channel, you got any questions, leave them down in the comments section below. But let's talk about the Bayern, because the Bayern she's very fun. And in North America, in terms of the North American server, there's still a lot of American ships, and I started to see the trend where there's less German battleships, especially with the Bayern, because I think the Bayern is one of the great ships to unlock, and there's just not many Bayern ships at all. I'm expecting on the European side, especially in Germany, there's going to be a lot of Bayerns, judging from the fact that Europeans are more focused on the countries of the European descent, like Britain, Germany, France, and there's the Japanese. They're not really that concerned with the Americans. Some would say there's a great amount of American ships in the EU server, but not as saturated as the North American server, because as an American, it's natural to pick your own country ship. Same way as you play at the British, same way you play the German, same as you play the Russian, and all the other ships that they have in this game. But with the Bayern, there were some speculations from my server, from the NA server, so if you're not from NA, someone said that the Bayern was garbage, and I can see why they say that, because the Bayern plays like the Nagato and the Colorado with the 8-gun setup. And when I say the 8-gun setup, the biggest problem with the 8-gun setup is not because they're crap guns. It's because there is a huge learning curve with landing shells with these 8 guns. If you can't land crap with these 8 guns, of course it's gonna be garbage to you, because you're having a troublesome time landing shells or doing damage due to the fact that you lack the amount of guns. For example, the New Mexico, the Arizona, the Fuso, people love that ship because you have 12 guns. You can't possibly go wrong with 12 14-inch guns. And if you miss most of your shells, or if RNG screws you over, there is a low chance of being screwed over due to the fact that you got numbers. With 8 guns like in the Congo or the Colorado Nagato or the Bayern, of course you're gonna be hating the ship because it's tough to play due to the fact that you're not landing your shots. So if you know how to lead your shots with the Bayern is potentially the most powerful tier 6 ship, especially in the higher tiers matchmaking. When you get matched up against the tier 8, the Bayern and the Warspite does way better job compared to the Fuso and New Mexico, only because they have the 15-inch caliber guns, which is roughly the 180 millimeters. The reason why they do better than those quantity of the Fuso and the New Mexico is because the 14-inch shells will bounce more likely against the Amagi, North Carolina, the Bismarck, the Tirpitz. They just simply don't penetrate as well, especially at distance. When you get past 15 kilometers in distance, the Fuso, New Mexico, those shells just instantly bounce or don't do that much damage, or don't penetrate upon impact, or they break upon impact. So that is the downside of the 12 14-inch shells from the Fuso in New Mexico. The only way you can make those guns work in the higher tier is that you have to get roughly around below 15 kilometers, mainly 10 kilometers, where you can do damage against those bigger higher tier ships. With the Bayern and the Warspite, and of course the Nagato and Colorado, which is the tier 7 ships, they don't have to worry about the range. As long as you land shells onto the ship at distance, at any distance, they just do damage. They can penetrate the Citadel at any distances, and they're just simply great with their capabilities. And that's the great thing about the Bayern, because she perfectly fit what I like about battleships. I once said in my Colorado video that I enjoy playing ships with the 8-gun setup, because in most cases there we have 8-gun setup in twin turrets, twin guns per turret. They usually have a twist with the bigger guns or more damage per salvo, and I like that because it rewards you for doing that. And with the Bayern, if you land your shells, you can do a devastating amount of damage. With the fact that the Bayern is a super dreadnought, meaning that she has very nice armor better than the Fuso, and to a degree actually better than the New Mexico due to her turtleback design. She's such a perfect ship. Just to put it in perspective, she's really like a Warspite, but I personally prefer the Bayern over the Warspite. The reason why I prefer the Bayern over the Warspite, reason number one, it doesn't take a millennium and the extinction of the dinosaur to traverse your turrets. On the Warspite, at best, you can traverse your turrets roughly 50 some seconds, and without the turret traverse speed module, it's like 56 seconds with the expert marksman on the captain skills. Yes, it takes 56 seconds to rotate the turrets on the Warspite, and at stock is 60 seconds, and that's like Yamato's turret traverse speed. Most of the time, if I ever turn the ship, I will never be on target with the Warspite, and if I ever turn the ship so slightly to tip the ship over to the port side or the starboard side, I'm still not at target at all. It it's bloody frustrating. It really is with the Warspite, and that is the biggest drawback with the Warspite. With the Bayern, the turret traverse speed is still slow, but it's like at the level within New Mexico, so that's not as bad as the Warspite. If not, I kind of like the turret traverse speed on the Bayern overall, because after suffering from the Warspite, I was kind of worried that the Bayern would suffer the same fate as the Warspite with the turret traverse speed. Fortunately, the Bayern has way better traverse speed by the Warspite several seconds, and then when I say several seconds, it doesn't sound a lot, but it means day and night for me, because at least I can turn the ship at port side or starboard side, but still at target at a certain distance. Now, as you can see me do a lot of damage because I'm able to actually penetrate and do a lot of damage per salvo. But with the Warspite does more damage by like roughly 900 or 800 or 700 more damage per hit, even though they're the same caliber. But I personally prefer the Bayern over the Warspite, and also the Warspite for some odd reason has a really weird armor scheme. When I say weird, is that no matter how much you angle, you still take a decent amount of damage, and of course if you show a broadside, you could easily get Citadel in the Warspite. While in the Bayern, you don't get that as often, because the Bayern can certainly bounce the shells with her hull of 16-inch shells. I remember I was brawling against a North Carolina, and the North Carolina fired a full 6-round salvo at my bow, and they bounced right off the Bayern at a 6 to 8 kilometer distance, meaning that her 16-inch shell cannot overmatch my hull. And of course, you cannot Citadel the German battleship at a very close range due to the turret back design. You can only Citadel German battleship at roughly 15 to 20 kilometer range, and actually above 15 in general. So it makes a really great brawler because of her armor and her gun caliber, and that's what I really like about the Bayern. And of course, she punishes battleships in general with her bigger caliber guns really well. Now, the drawback with the less guns is, although you do have bigger guns do more damage per salvo compared to the 14-inch gun, they're not by like, you know, a mile away with the damage per hit. But at the same time, you have more troubles on time dealing with cruisers because you have less guns. Having less guns means that you have less chance of hitting your cruisers. And cruiser, it doesn't really matter what caliber you run, as long as you run calibers 14 inches above. You will always penetrate the citadel of a cruiser at any distance, so in that case scenario, you want more shells, and with that, the Fuso, New Mexico, Arizona does a better job compared to the Bayern when it comes to one-shotting cruisers, simply due to the fact that you have an extra 4 shells to actually hit the citadel of a cruiser. So in the case of the Fuso, New Mexico, and the Arizona, it is still competitive against the Bayern. And you're probably asking me which one do I prefer most. It's rough for me to decide. I really do like the Bayern. I really do. I like it. But you just can't beat the fact that the New Mexico and Fuso have 12 guns. The reason why those ships were so powerful is just due to the fact that they have 12 guns and they 14-inch shells. Although the caliber is smaller than the Bayern, it's not day and night to a point where you cannot penetrate citadels or penetrate any ship. They still penetrate cruisers at angles. They still penetrate really well against battleship at angle, and at the same time they have a lot of guns. So it's in the middle. It's almost to a point that I cannot compare the Bayern to the Fuso or New Mexico, simply due to the fact that they're just completely different level when it comes to their gun setup. It depends on what you like, and sometimes you get days that you do well with the Bayern, sometimes you get days where you do bad with the Bayern, and the same way goes to the Fuso and New Mexico. Sometimes you get those bad days with the New Mexico, good days with the Fuso. So it's almost to a point where that the Bayern should be her own class of favorite list, because I like the Bayern number one on my list currently compared to the Warspite, but I cannot compare it with the Fuso and New Mexico because those ships are easier to play, but they can be as effective as the Bayern just due to their calibers and the number of guns they have. So aside from that, in my future videos, hopefully I can get more German battleship onto this channel. I do have a Nassau and a Kaiser gameplay sitting in my hard drive, and I plan on getting a Kunik, but in the future I will do a full video about the Bayern. So thanks for watching, and like I said, keep in mind my schedule of next week and the changes to my channel. And other than that, hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys next time on World of Warships.